Hey everybody, it's episode 2 of Hal Leonard Guitar Tab Method. We're going through this book step by step, detail by detail to give you your guitar fundamentals. You can click back to the first video in the series if you want to start from the beginning, but we are starting almost from the beginning today. Here we are on today's page, the low E string. So, the low E string is your big E string. It's called the low E string because it is low in pitch compared to the high pitch of the high E string. Your low E string, before we get to that, let's talk about how to read notes that are written on it. We got to read this whole book and we might as well know what they're showing us. We have guitar music being written in tablature, or tab for short. Each line represents a string, each number represents a fret. So on guitar tab, they show us with this upside down picture of a guitar, the bottom line of the tab is your big string of your guitar. The top line of the tab is your little string of your guitar. This can be upside down for some people at first, but what I like to say is that the low notes are low on the page and the high notes are high on the page. Tab will always be written this way, the deeper notes on the bottom. So whether it seems naturally upright or seems upside down to you, just know that it will always be this way and it will soon become normal. They also tell us that the open E string generates the note E. This might be a no-brainer, but we want to make sure we're careful about giving our details here. E is the first note. Right after E comes the note F. So, first example they give us is the theme from the movie Jaws. Now, everybody knows classic shark music. It says to attack the string with a downstroke of the pick. This is important. We want our default attack on the string to be a downstroke of the pick. Now it also says speed up as the numbers get closer together. If that seems like a fairly loose instruction, it is. On the next page we're going to get to notating the rhythm, but you could say that in a rudimentary guitar tab, like the kind you might find if you're Googling for a guitar tab for your favorite song, the tab might be shown this way where the numbers getting closer together tells us to speed up. For those still not totally clear, tab is very literal. If it says 0 one time, I play 0 one time. And if the next note is 1, I put my finger on 1 and I play it that one time. If they had written 4 zeros in a row, I would play 4 zeros in a row. It's very literal in that sense. We always read it from left to right and we read all 6 strings at the same time. Now it'll be a while in the book before we have to read all 6 strings at the same time, but know that it goes in a literal and left to right kind of manner. One other thing we could talk about here with how to play your guitar is that you can control the duration of a note by how long you push it down. In the theme from Jaws, we want to hear that first note painfully long. And we want that second note to be tense and short. So I let my string ring out, and then I push my F note down just for the time it takes to pick it. And you can kind of see there the pressure of my finger going on and off. Don't have to do that in every single song. Sometimes you want the notes to ring out, but in this song it works well to cut that F note short every time. Let's learn more notes on the low E string. In this book, we're dealing mainly in the first 5 frets of your guitar. And on our E string, those notes are E on the open string, F on the first fret, F sharp or G flat, same thing, on the second fret, G on the third fret, G sharp, aka A flat, on the 4th fret, and A there on the 5th fret. Now, for those uninitiated with music, we do want to explain the sharp and flat thing a little bit. If you visualize a piano keyboard, the white keys are the notes A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. The black keys are all the sharp and flat notes in between. If we further visualize the keyboard, then we notice that there are sometimes some spots where there are 2 white keys in a row, and sometimes it alternates black, white, black, white, black, white. So on our guitar, every fret is like an equal-sized guitar or an equal-sized piano key. So E to F just happens to be 2 white keys in a row. Then we have a black key. Our black key can be called F sharp because it's 1 note higher than F. That's what sharp means in music, is 1 higher than. We can also call it G flat because it's 1 note lower than G. The reason that it has 2 names is largely to do with written music notation and making things easier to read in complex pieces of music. For us on the guitar, functionally, we don't really care if we call it F sharp or G flat if we're just discussing the single note, unless we're getting into the really nitty-gritty of music theory. We'll mostly be playing our notes from tab. We don't really need to know that the 2nd fret is F sharp every single time we go to it, but what we do want to understand is that the musical alphabet runs along the string, and we're getting a section of it here that begins at E. E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. All the book says about that is 2 ways to spell the same note. So, important that we never ever count 2 separate locations for F sharp and G flat. They're the same thing in terms of pitch. Moving down the page, we have a couple of classic tunes. Green Onions by Booker T and the MGs uses the notes E, G, and A. And it says to follow the tab and pick the notes at a steady speed or steady tempo. Now, again, we're getting to the rhythm notation on the next page. It's coming very soon. But here they're just telling us to play steady, which is the same as counting 1, 2, 3, 4 for quarter notes. A sneak preview of the next page. To play this song, we just do this. 0, 0, 3, 5 on our tab, or E, E, G, A on notes. I could play it with 1 finger because it's very easy, but it's also good practice to use enough fingers to just rest your hand over that area of the fretboard and not have to move left to right to chase your notes around. The sooner you get down with doing that as a guitar player, the sooner you can feel like you have control over your fretboard. The same way that we would like to type like this instead of like this on the keyboard, we want to play our guitar with all 4 of our fingers, not just the pointer finger for as long as we can. Green Onions is a cool piece of music. You always hear it in movies when someone's getting away with a bank heist, I find. Very, very sneaky sounding music. The next song we have a snippet of Peter Gunn. This was theme music from, I believe it was an old TV show, kind of a James Bond spy kind of character. It says here, this is important, a riff is a short, composed phrase that is repeated. You'll hear this all the time with guitar talk. Riff, riffing, playing a riff. I love that riff. It's very important, if you want to save yourself a little embarrassment, don't call it a rift with a T on the end. It is an R-I-F-F riff, and you are riffing on your guitar. Don't ever show anybody your new guitar riff, or you'll be looking foolish. Peter Gunn uses just about every note we've looked at so far except for F. It also shows us another little new bit of notation here, repeat signs. These 2 dots right after the bar line and these 2 dots right before the next bar line tell us that this is the beginning of a section to be repeated and this is the end of that section, so you have to go back to the first marker and play it again. If there's no number of repetitions given, then you just repeat it 1 time and you move on. So you play the entire thing twice total and move on. If it says to repeat times 4, then you play it 4 times. Most of the riffs and segments of songs that we're going to see in this book will be shown with a repeat sign, and it's very important when you practice this that you actually do the repeat. We want to play the riff on repeat. Most songs are not 1.5 seconds long, so we're going to have to play it a couple times in a row. If I can't comfortably get back to the start of my riff, watch this. It causes a stumble as soon as you go back without keeping the phrase going. If you're unprepared for the repeat, then you're going to cause yourself to stumble and make your guitar playing sound, well, make it sound bad. Alright, that brings us to the end of our runtime for today's video, so we're going to move on to the next page next time. Please click through to the next video, like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing, and thanks for watching.